Good evening, everyone. And we want to say thank you so much for being patient. We had a few technical difficulties to work through, but we are here and we're going to get our segment started. We ask that you throw any questions that you have into the chat and we'll try to get them answered on tonight. I'm really excited as we close out Mental Health Awareness Month. And focusing on the men, we've had an awesome session focusing on children, building resilience. We also had an awesome session focusing on women and self care and the importance of self care. So tonight we're going to finish it out with the men, and we are going to focus on just exploring mental health for men because I think it's still a stigma attached to men and mental health. And so we want to dispel some myths and we want to just encourage you from our speaker tonight for men, the men in your life, women, men that are watching to engage in not self-care, but in mental health care. All right. So I want to begin by sharing. I didn't share this. I am Dr. Nikki Anthony, and I am the founder of Little Hands, Big Hearts, Little People Service Organization, where our mission is to develop little people into servant leaders who think beyond themselves for the greater good through explicit and intentional opportunities for character development, selfless service to others, and community-based volunteering. And to that end, we realize that our little people, and when I say little people, I mean primary age children, ages 3 through 9, that's our focus group. We realize that they go back into families. So our mission has kind of expanded to make sure that we're doing programming and we're affording opportunities for the whole family, because those little people go back to people that make decisions for their lives. And if those people aren't well, if those people don't have opportunities, if those people don't have access, then it kind of hurts what we're trying to do with the children. So that's what we do. That's who we are, a little bit of who we are. Like I said, tonight we're focusing on men's mental health, and I have a wonderful speaker to share with us tonight. He came highly recommended, let me say it that way, and I'm excited to hear from him. I'm excited to share him with our audience, and I encourage you to grab all the men that you know, ladies, your husbands, your brothers, your spouse, your children, uncles, grandfathers, whoever it is. Grab those men and pull them in so that they can hear what's going to be shared on tonight, because I do believe it's going to be powerful. We've had so many I'm gonna say technical difficulties. I was gonna say some other stuff, but I think that's kind of proof that maybe this is really going to be a good session, because there's so much stuff coming against us having this session, right? So just grab the men next to you and be ready to jump in with questions, men, if you have them. And with that, I'm going to share and allow him to share a little bit about himself. Mr. Monte King, from my understanding, he has done a lot of work with men here in Jacksonville, men of color, Black men especially, and just helping men to see the importance of mental health. So, Mr. King, share a lot about yourself, actually. Please run the gamut of your credentials and all of that, and we'll get started with our stats and our questions.
Well, Dr. Anthony, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for having me in. This is a wonderful opportunity. I would like to say thank you to Miss Brown as well. She is the one that recommended me, and I appreciate that from her. A little bit about myself. I'm a native of Jacksonville. I started out here, went to William M. Raines. After leaving William M. Raines, I allowed life to progress for a while. Then I went on to FSCJ and transferred over to Tallahassee, where I went to Florida State. At Florida State, I was able to receive a baccalaureate in social work. I also received a master's in social work, clinical, and also policy, as well as a master's in public administration. I am a full-time employee of Duval County Public Schools. I've had the opportunity to work with children from elementary all the way up to high school. In doing so, I've had the opportunity to make connections and try to see the trends in the way that things happen, especially when my focus is working with the males in the community. I received my license as a licensed clinical social worker back in 2014. At that point in time, I just worked with various agencies in the community. The last one I really, really enjoyed. It is the JU Men's Center for Mental Health Wellness. It is a free service that's offered to the community, and they are doing great and wonderful things. I'm a father of two. My baby boy is Matthew. My baby girl is Sophia. They're watching right now. Hey, baby. They're excited because they get to stay up past their bedtime today. This is a special privilege. Um, I have a wife, my wife Charmel King, and that's pretty much who I am. And my goal right now, the school that I work at, where I work with right now, is troubled youth, mostly troubled males. I'm starting to see an uptick in females, but in trying to help those males to realize the choices that they're making and how they impact them, not just for the time that they're in the school, but for the rest of their lives. And also trying to address some of those issues that come from home into the school and help those parents to become stronger and better parents so we can have stronger and better citizens in our community. So that's just a little bit about me.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm going to share a few stats and then we'll jump into our questions for the evening. The first one I want to share is that in 2020, men died by suicide at a rate of 3.88 times higher or more than women did. Though men experience a higher rate of suicide, they are less likely to seek help and are more prone to suffer in silence. So I want you to sit with that. If you're near a man, just kind of think about that. Women think about it, men think about it. Think about the men in your life, your sons, because we have children. Our children are dying by suicide at high rates now. The next one, in 2015, the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, reported that nearly 1 in 10 men experience some form of depression or anxiety, but less than half of that seek treatment. And treatment would be with a professional, someone who is licensed to support you in your mental health. And then the last one focuses on substance abuse for men. Men are almost 2 times more likely to binge drink than women and are 3 times as likely to die as a consequence of alcohol abuse. So, again, I want you to just kind of think about those things as we go through our evening. We won't be before you long, but I think these are some staggering statistics, and they kind of should pull us into this mind frame of focusing on mental health for all of our family members, right? Because if the man is removed from the home, if the mom is removed from the home, if the children get removed, all of this is going to impact the family unit. So I just want you to think about those things as we go through our questions tonight. So, Mr. King, as we get started, if you could please explain what mental health is for those who don't know or they're not really clear on what mental health is, and what are the parts or the components of somebody's mental health?
Your just like your physical well-being and your spiritual well-being, you have your mental well-being, is how you're processing information, how you carry yourself as far as in public, your appearance, your dialect, how you interact with others. That is basically your cognitive, emotional, and behavioral health. Cognitive is how you think. Emotional is how you process the information that's coming in from you around at different people, different situations. And your behavioral health is basically how you choose to interact with others. So it's an important part of your life because it's those three main components: the physical, the mental health, and the spiritual are all part of how we conduct ourselves as good citizens. It's also how we conduct ourselves as good husbands, fathers, brothers. Those are the things that help us to know how to behave, how to interact, and what's acceptable within the group that we're in.
That's good. So we kind of are setting the tone for tonight. So keep those things in mind: your cognitive, behavioral, and spiritual self. That's the components of your mental health. All right. Next question. Generally, we have heard it stated that it's really hard for men to acknowledge mental health. Um, and I'm not a man, but I know a lot of men. Let me say it that way. I know a lot of men, family members, and whatnot. So, why do you think that is? Why is it hard for men generally to acknowledge their mental health? And then, why might men struggle to seek treatment or support for their mental health?
It's a part of mental health for men, and I'm going to speak specific for men in general, is something that's frowned upon. Tough it out, make it happen. If you need help, then there's something wrong with you. But particularly for black men, you have to look at how we're brought up. The number one uh, industries that we make money as and are viewed by society as making money in the community is as an athlete. Athletes are taught from a very early age to tough it out. Ignore your physical pain, ignore that. And that's something that transitions, I believe, into the adult. And it also coincides with spiritual as well as the mental health. So that physical trait that we pick up as children is a tool that we use to justify ignoring our mental health as well as our spiritual health. And when we feel that pain, um, right now the trends are starting to change as far as black men and men going to the doctor to receive health care. But that has not translated when it comes to mental health, because right now we're still at a point where it's still taboo in some communities. It's still something that whereas there's something wrong with you. And a lot of times when I do therapy, I talk to guys and I explain that the therapy session is going to be like a barbershop conversation. And that's what guys are comfortable with. They're comfortable with having that barbershop conversation where they're not identified and poked and prodded and everything's pulled out at once. Sometimes you have to move a little slow in order to give that guy the chance to understand what's going on, for him to be able to have a feeling and also to feel safe. So that's my understanding on it as to, why it might be hard to open up.
So, to your point, I have heard in Jacksonville there are barbershop conversations about mental health that are happening, right? There are barbers who have opened up their space to having um, intervention and having time for men to just come and to sit and to share and to learn strategies and whatnot about their mental health, learn regulation skills, learn why it's important to address mental health, learn about trauma, learn about how trauma impacts us. So, wherever you are, especially if you're in Jacksonville, there are those avenues available. Um, Mr. King, if you know any of them, then let me know and I'll throw them in the chat. But also, if you don't have it, maybe you're the person that could be a conduit for starting it. Maybe your barber is open to something like that. I think these spaces are really important, and it kind of pushes us to be, especially culturally, um, to be more vested in mental health and to find ways to culturally reach and to close the gap because of culture, the stigmas and whatnot that we experience. So to close those gaps as far as mental health is concerned. So if you don't have it or you don't know where it is, maybe you're the person to bring that to someone in your community. Think outside the box. I think that's going to be a requirement at this point, to think outside the box, because traditional settings, going into an office and I don't know, maybe small groups or whole group settings that are more formal, they might not work. So you got to think outside the box. Let me go ahead.
I was just going to say I agree. A lot of times you have to think out of the box, especially a lot of guys feel like they're alone. They feel like they're the only one going through it. They're the only one that are having these issues, these feelings, these thoughts, these ideas. And in doing so, they get to the point where they feel isolated and alone. And the more you're isolated and alone, the more those thoughts and feelings, those negative thoughts and feelings are going to grow. So by getting into that social group, whether it be in a barbershop, whether it be in a sometimes around the tree or just hanging out tailgating, that gives you the opportunity to talk to your friends, and also it's a good point where your friends can be able to see if there's a change in you. A true friend is going to recognize that. A true friend is going to state something's not right. Are you okay? But you have to be honest with that friend. You have to be honest ultimately with yourself. And a lot of times it can be solved and worked through and rationalized at the barbershop. But sometimes you need a real therapist. Sometimes you need someone to sit down with you and
He's still working through those technical difficulties. He'll be back. But if you have any questions, throw them in the. There we go.
there's okay, you disappeared. But that conversation is necessary in order to make things happen. And by doing that, you get to the point where everything works out. You get to a point where everybody's clear, everybody knows what's going on, and it helps you to realize that you're not alone. It helps you to realize that there's a support system. And a lot of times that's what men need, because men feel as if they're alone in a lot of situations, even though that they are surrounded by people. Um, and some emotional trauma that comes up may be from past relationships. Some of those things that come up, and just being able to try to help identify that in that barbershop setting, it may make the male more comfortable, that guy more comfortable to be able to reach out for a licensed therapist. And that licensed therapist may be able to help them out and get to the root of their issues.
So good. So I'm kind of gonna deviate and piggyback off something you already said. Could you talk about the importance, or maybe expound on the importance of community, and, like you said, having that friend or those friends that you hold as accountability, that those are your accountability partners, because I think that's a really big component of especially healing from trauma. Most trauma happens in relationships, so it takes relationships that are healthy and safe for us to heal from trauma. So if you could just lean into that a little more and explain the importance of having community while you're trying to walk through healing in your mental health, that would be great.
It's the same concept as when individuals are on a team. They look after each other. It's the same concept that they use for individuals that are in the armed forces. We all take care of each other. It's what one army, one air force. Uh, it's the idea that yes, there is a situation going on. I may not be able to give you all the answers, but I can be here to listen. And sometimes people can talk through their own situations and find their own solutions. And that's what therapy really is. The therapist shouldn't be able to tell you what the answer is. They should be able to help you to work through your emotions, work through your mindset, and help you to find out where you're going to be best suited to be the best person that you can be.
I love that. So we have a question. Hopefully, I'm reading it right. And I think it's kind of talking about. Thank you, Roger. I was going that way. It says, as a Black man, always been in uncomfortable situations, how do you identify that you have a problem? And I think it's going to go back to that accountability and therapy, but we're going to let the expert answer it. And then also, if you could lean into, because I think this is getting into my next question, which is, what are some key signs that a man or a boy is struggling with their mental health? And then we'll move also into intervention. All right.
Okay. Some ways to know that something's going on is that there is a change. It be a change in you being able to continue to do the things that you once enjoyed. Um, it's a change in your appearance. It can be a change in your tone. It can be a change in the way you carry yourself. Any type of change that occurs that is not accepted, identified, and something that the person is used to is going to make it to where they're not really, really, really going to be able to be at peace. So, So that's going to be the thing that helps them to be able to become better. Because you get once you identify that, you got to do something about it. As you do that, you'll grow. As you grow, you'll become more aware of what it is that's going on. But a lot of that also deals with the, how to put it, how they process those relationships. A lot of times, the relationships that we have are from traumatic experiences. So we grow to normalize it. And in doing so, we can't really recognize that our aggressive behavior. We can't recognize that our anger is inappropriate. We can't recognize that our tone or our withdrawal and our isolating ourselves. We can't see that in ourselves. So those are some of the things that you can use to try to see that something's going on. A decline for students, it's a decline in their education, a distraction in the educational environment. Those are the things that make it more apparent that something's going on. And some of the things that they do are the obvious: drugs, alcohol, aggressive behaviors. Those are some of the things that they do automatically as a way to lash out to seek attention. But some of the hidden things are they will digress into themselves. They'll be able to it, seem isolated and ignore or be aloof about what's going on around them. Those are the things that kind of help you to identify that something's going on.
So good. So I'm gonna share a few signs and symptoms, and feel free to expand on these, if you will. And some of them include, I think most of them are things that you've mentioned. They just add a little more. So feeling sad, feeling anxious, feeling hopeless or guilty. And you can kind of talk about those. Frequent crying, although men are told, just like you said, don't cry, tough it out, but maybe you're crying to yourself, which is the title of this segment tonight. Men cry too. You all cry too. A lack of motivation or energy, a loss of interest or enjoyment in activities or hobbies, avoiding spending time with people. So, like you said, you start to withdraw and break away from people that you love. Avoiding spending time, changes in your eating and your sleeping habits. Those are telltale signs. He talked about alcohol use as well. Difficulty focusing or making decisions, compulsive behavior or intrusive thoughts, agitation, anger, paranoia, hallucinations. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and he was sharing his journey of being diagnosed as bipolar. And he said just what we have said already, what Mr. King said already, that, at first it was like, nah, be tough. It's not, that's not what it is. This is not the case. And it took people who loved him to acknowledge, like, no, there's something going on. But it also was those people that pushed him to seek mental health support. And that's where he got his diagnosis. And he has been active in caring for himself and making sure he keeps appointments. If he needed medication support, but he's diligent about his mental health. But it started with having that accountability from the people that he loved. So keep that in mind. And then thoughts of self-harm or suicide. So any of those that you care to expound on?
Oh, suicide is something that is more prevalent with men, and it's not. Um, Men are just better at it. Men use methods that are more drastic, more permanent, and more effective when it comes to committing suicide. So when it comes to that, yeah, those are just feelings that you have at times from time, but it's the problem comes in when you develop a plan. When you talk to somebody and they're saying that they're feeling uncomfortable, they're sad, they're not connected, you have to ask them, do you have a plan? And you can't shy away from it. You got to be honest, you got to be open, you have to be direct when it comes to suicide. I mean, just think about Twitch, the dancer that we just lost a few, and then one famous one for me is Don Cornelius, Soul Train. I mean, he committed suicide. So it is prevalent within the community. It is something that we have to address and be honest about. And we have to, when we see it and someone says that they're interested in it, you have to take what they're saying at face value and seek help for them. And you can always call the suicide hotline. You can always call JSO, non emergency. They'll be able to help you out. Those are different just avenues that we can go to in the community. Also, when it comes to anxiety, anxiety can is a killer. It changes your physical health. Stress and anxiety changes your physical health. It makes it to where you are locked into a mindset to where your body starts to process and just basically digest itself. It creates high blood pressure. It creates heart circulatory problems. It creates migraines. It makes it to where you may end up with situations to where you start to have digestive problems. All of those things occur just with anxiety. And that's where we as men don't really learn how to manage that. And that's one of the problems that we run into.
So good. So, so good. Thank you. So we have a comment. It says, when men cry, some of the side effects are not always noticed. Yeah. And then I think it might be a question: when you feel off or you feel overwhelmed, what's a better way or a more reasonable way to handle those feelings of overwhelm? Daryl, if I'm not stating that right, please correct me. I think it's a question, though. Like, what are some better ways to handle being overwhelmed? So maybe you can get into regulation strategies or intervention.
Dialect behavior theory is one of my favorites. It's cognitive behavior therapy as far as mindfulness, but it's basically regulation is breathing exercises. The exact same thing that they teach us how to do when we're playing basketball or football. It's just managing your body and recentering your body to a point where you can be able to see, be more effective in the moment that you're in. You can and also you have to segment life by when you start to feel anxious, it means that you're thinking too far ahead. There's too much going on. You're at a point where you need to back away from the big picture and start to segment it to where you can accomplish the small tasks and start to look at the big tasks. Once you make that segmentation of the problem that's making you more anxious, you get to a point where you can manage yourself a little bit better. Time outside, closing your eyes and just letting the sun hit on your face, playing video games. I know that's one of my favorites, but just playing video games, going for a walk outside. If you need to, reading poetry, maybe writing a story, sometimes doing a puzzle. When you start to feel overwhelmed, disconnect. You have to get to a point where you can be able to see, feel, and be at peace with the moment. Because it's once you start to look too far down the road, you get to a point where you're overwhelmed and you start to not be able to understand that things can be solved.
So, so good. Wow. So I'm a jump in because I love regulation strategies. I don't know. I don't think I told you, but I came out of ESC, so this was on a lot of my kids, PBIP and their behavior plans and all that different stuff. So what I want to do really quickly, if we can demonstrate, you can practice with me showing a regulation strategy as far as breathing. So I'll do one, and if you have one that you like, feel free to jump in. But I'll model it and you demonstrate as well. No problem, Daryl. So the first one I'm gonna do is called butterfly breathing. So basically, like a butterfly, once your arms go down, like you're flapping, you're exhaling. When your arms go up, you're inhaling. So if you're watching, you can join me and practice it. But this is just a good breathing technique, and it focuses on controlling your breathing. So we ain't gonna flap too quickly. We don't want to hyperventilate. So let's do it together. You ready? All right. Inhale, exhale. All right. So that's my one. Do you have one that you want to share?
Um, what I do when I get to that point is I ask students to close their eyes and find their happy place. Uh, a lot of times you have to talk them through what a happy place is. Um, and once you identify it, you can be able to go there because your mind can go places that your body can't at points. And you can get your body there later on, but if you can get your mind there right now, you'll be at a point to where you're regulated. And controlled breathing is really is it has a physical effect. It's as if your heart is pumping and it's pumping real fast, real fast. But as your lungs expand, they enclose your heart and they make it slow down. And then it exhale, then inhale, and it slows it down to where you can be able to start to actually feel your body calming down. Uh, Sometimes just time out, just standing there in a moment, not moving, not talking, being able to have that moment, that'll help as well.
So I think a good one also is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just to kind of ground yourself. And this is about mindfulness, and mindfulness focuses on you being aware of where you are. Like he said, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 incorporates our senses. 5 things that you see, 4 things you can hear, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can taste, and just do that. It takes maybe 5 minutes, but that's 5 minutes of you moving away from what the issue or the problem is, and 5 minutes of you just kind of centering yourself and coming back to ground zero, and kind of like a reset for you. So try that one as well. I'll try to throw that one in the chat. Thank you for indulging me. I went off script a little bit, so thank you. Um, I know you've talked about them a little bit, but if you could expound on some coping mechanisms that you see for men, um, instead of them seeking support, mental health support, what are some coping mechanisms? And then we'll start getting into some supports and intervention.
Okay. Some signs that a guy is uh, not dealing with his mental health well is escapism. He'll try to find a way to avoid the situation. Also, he you talked about misusing alcohol and drugs, becoming more angry, more irritable. You got to be able to notice that they have lost the ability to be able to concentrate and focus as well as they have in the past. Those are some of the things. Also, like extremely tired and feeling sad and hopeless, and having that countenance on their face. Those things will be able to help you to be able to see it. But a lot of times we can't see the situation that we're in. And also, sometimes sleeping too much or not sleeping enough. All of that has an effect.
So good. So I threw those in. I threw most of them in the chat. So I hope you're taking notes. I know this is a lot, so you might want to take notes, or at least, and I'm talking to our audience, or at least, save the link once this goes public, the link, and come back and watch it because he's sharing some. We got another question. Thank you. He's dropping some gems for men's mental health. So the question is it normal for men to be depressed?
Depression sometimes can be misunderstood. Sometimes we're just emotionally exhausted. It's you're at a point where you're just tired and you're always thinking and you're trying to figure out how to get through this moment, but you're just exhausted. Depression is something that is taking place over a long period of time. So if it's not true depression, you got to just figure out what is making you exhausted and try to either separate yourself from it or address it and go at it in a different direction.
So, all right. You are helping some people. Thank you. um, Next question. Can you explain why men engaging in self care is important? We talked about women's self care, and it's important for everybody, but tonight we're focusing on the men. Why is men's self care important? And then what are some things that men can do to engage in healthy self care?
Joe's statement is if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. So you have to be able to take care of yourself. You have to be able to recognize what's going on with you and be able to navigate those emotions. Uh, just as you would do it for your health, to be able to be there for your family, you have to do it mentally as well to be for your family. Mental health really starts at birth. When a child is born, you're able to kind of see some things, feel some things about them, and be able to recognize what they need in order to be successful. As you do that, you'll be able to see and understand and know what to expect a little bit more as that child develops, as they grow. And that's going to help you because it's going to help them to be able to have a healthier lifestyle. A lot of times, men have a hard time recognizing what to do because they didn't have a man in their life. By not having that man, that role model, you have a hard time recognizing what does a man look like. Now they have the definition of what TV says. They have the definition of what goes on from sports entertainers, but that's not the average everyday man. That's not somebody that has to wash dishes, take the trash out, change diapers, get up, go to work, tend to the wife. That's not that type of man. So it's hard for men to know what to do because it's a lot of times we don't have that connection. And that's where church or men's groups come in contact, where you can be able to work and come in contact with that older individual that has been down that road, because you may be feeling like you're by yourself. You got to have that older accountability person because they can always tell you, no, it's not going to go that way, or yes, this is normal, or this is just a part of the process. Because women have what they call menopause. Men have it too. But it comes out differently in men because we have that same mindset. The woman may say, a female may say, well, is this it? Is this all I'm going to have? I'm going to be a mother. If I'm going to be a wife, I don't get a chance to do what I want to do. But men say the same thing too, but they internalize it because when we talk about it, when a man talks about it, it's more as if he's complaining. It's more as if he's unhappy, he's unsatisfied. And that's not necessarily what he means. It just means that he's trying to find his way. And I hope I answered that question.
Absolutely. So we are coming up on the end of our time. I know you had a video. He shared a video, so I'm going to try to get that up and share that. But the last question is, what can you do if you know someone needs help, if you know someone who needs help or you think they may need help, what are some things that you suggest people do on behalf of the men in their lives?
If a man needs help, you have to be honest. You first you got to know him. Once you know him, then he can trust you. And once he trusts you, he'll be able to accept what it is that you're saying and what you're trying to do. A lot of times in life, men don't have the opportunity to be vulnerable. And when they are, a lot of times they're taken advantage of. So when that happens, a man continuously builds up resistance to allowing help to take place. But when you see somebody is in a situation where they need to have mental health, sometimes you can set that appointment for them. If you feel that an appointment is necessary, and go with them and say, this is not just for you, this is for us, if that's a couple. If it's your friend, then you say, I'm going to take you here and I need you to just talk to him. No one else has to know. This is a private conversation. I won't know. Confidentiality is number one with your therapist. If as long as you're not going to hurt yourself, plan on hurting somebody else, then that's an open opportunity for you to be as free as you want to be and share all the things that you have pent up inside. Once that takes place, you can be able to become a better person. So if a person needs help, you just have to either help them by identifying what's going on and taking that step for them, or helping them by giving them different outlets, taking them different places, letting them find that peace and relaxation so you can be able to have that hard conversation.
Thank you. I was trying to throw everything in the chat. So I'm going to cue your video. If you want to explain it while I'm getting it ready, feel free.
It's a video on how silent it is, the bags that men have to carry with them, whether it be the stereotypes, the expectations from others, the looks, the sneers, whatever it may be. Men walk around all the time trying to figure out what it is that's going on and why people are approaching them the way that they are, especially black men, because once a black man is born, he has that label. Up until about third grade, after third grade, most they deal with negative behavior in the school system through suspension, through expulsion, through referral to different school programs, by not allowing them to be included in the academic courses that they could be a part of and be successful in. So you have to. This video is just a video to help us to see that there are a lot of things that people carry on them, and they don't talk about it, but it's just stuff that they carry. But you really don't know what the person that you're trying to the people that are around you, what they're carrying on their back. So the video has a guy who's walking around with all these different labels, and it's the labels that we carry. But through mental health awareness, through mental health counseling, through working with a therapist or a great friend, you can start to lose those labels and find yourself. That's the ultimate goal, is to be at peace with yourself.
I'm trying to multitask. So it says my browser is black, my screen. I'm going to try it. If you can see it, let me know. And if not, then I'll put the link for the video on our YouTube and I'll put it on our social media pages to make sure that they can access it. Okay.
I wanted you guys to understand the power of words. You know, we walk around with all these things that are going on the inside of us, but it's just that one thing that you share to let somebody know they're a friend, let them know that they're loved, let them know that they're important. All of that can remove the negative feelings that we have. And by removing those negative feelings, just like the guy in the video, he became a better person. So he was able to help somebody else. And that's what mental health is all about. Because
So
if you go in therapy, you may be able to use what you've learned to help somebody else.
mhm. Wow, that was powerful. So, our viewing audience loved the video. So, excellent, excellent call. He shared it with me just before we got started. And I was like, if we could do it, we can do it. I'm glad we made it happen. Thank you so much. So, any final words that you have? How can people contact you if they want to know more? If they want to know more about the JU Center for Men's Mental Health, um, how can we get in contact with you?
Uh, right now, the JU's Men's Center from the JU's Men's Center for Mental Health Wellness is open. It's totally free. They give in-person sessions and they also give virtual sessions. So, and I think they still have men counselors, but that's real big. Also, uh, my focus right now is my two babies, Matthew and Sophia. So I try to share what mental health is as much as I can. I try to give ideas as to how to be able to be the best person that you can be, but I just don't have the time. My baby boy just made patrol, so he is excited. Thank you, thank you. And my baby girl, she has art down at the library. So she's my budding artist. So I just that my baby. So that's because you got to remember you only get to plant the seed once.
So good. So he gave us a wonderful resource. He gave us a wonderful resource. So use that JU Center for Men's Mental Wellness. It's free, and he was a part of that. So I'm sure. I think he was very instrumental, if I'm not mistaken, in starting the program. So then you're getting the byproduct of his knowledge and his expertise if you decide to go that route. So I'll throw it in the chat again. Thank you so much for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And I thank you for just, this was a good conversation. That's one of the comments, but it was an excellent conversation. It really was. And I think it's going to help a lot of men. I'm asking you all as the audience, please share this broadcast. Not just share it on your social media, just hit that share button, make sure you like this and all that different stuff, but share it with people. You can go on YouTube and share the link via text, but share it with the men in your life because this is information that they need to know. And I love how you set that boundary of my babies are my priority right now because I'm big on boundaries. So he's showing y'all some stuff in real time. Like I love y'all, but you know, I got priorities also. So let me give you some free stuff, which is great, right? But thank you again for sharing with us. I really appreciate it. And you all, thank you for joining us over this month. We've had some really good conversations. Next month, we are back to our, no, I'm not going to say regular schedule program. We have our honors ceremony, our end of the year honors for our students who have completed the first cohort of our Future Forward Servant Leadership Development Program. I'm really excited to celebrate them. We'll also be celebrating our two seniors that were both awarded scholarships on our HBCU tour. We are celebrating academic excellence from our students from elementary on up through high school. We're celebrating service, a year serving the community, Jacksonville, and serving internationally. in Kenya and in Haiti and Sudan and Panama, supporting different organizations that have boots on the ground there in those places. We are just celebrating. So I am, if you would like to be a part, feel free to email me, littlepeopleserving@gmail.com, to get on our list. Um, yeah, and come ready to hear all the wonderful stuff that we've accomplished in this first year, this first cohort year. And with that said, I would like to say good night to everyone. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget to hit the share button and have a good one.
Thank you.